Oh, great. Okay, so I'm starting to see some things in the chat bar. That's wonderful. My name is Mariah, and welcome from Holy Creative here, live from the studios of Holy Creative. Today we are having our dream writing workshop, Discover Inner Resources and Creative Gold. And we're going to be looking at ways to remember your dreams, ways to tap into those dreams so that they can be mined for writing, and developing the dreams themselves into richer material so that you have actual poems or essays or short stories. And you can publish and live the writing life of your dreams, right? So we're gonna look at how you get all that stuff done. I personally have a crazy dream life. It is never ending. I feel like some mornings I wake up and I have had so many dreams that it feels like I have been globetrotting in my sleep. And a lot of times those dreams stay with me during the day. Like I wake up and there's a moment where I'm still in the dream, right? So I'm still in that dream state, even though my eyes are awake and I'm in this world of my waking consciousness. So I'm somehow between those two worlds. And often as I get up and make the coffee and feed the cats and do those kinds of things, I'm still in those images of the dream world. This has been happening for my entire life. And often or for a good part of my life, I didn't do much with it. People would say, oh, you should be writing those things down. And I would sit down and start writing them. But I started to realize that the process of writing them was so time consuming because I had so many dreams. It was just like I could sit there, I'd be there for 8 hours just recording everything if, I had to write everything down that I was dreaming. And people kept on suggesting, as I would mention, oh, I was so exhausted because I'd been up dreaming all night, like asleep, but up in my subconscious. And people kept on saying, you should be paying attention to those things. You should be paying attention to those things. And it wasn't until the last year that I tried something different. And what I started doing was waking up in the morning, getting my coffee and feeding the cats like usual, but really enjoying that dream state, that kind of between the two worlds state of mind. And I would sit down with my journal with very low expectations, or if any expectations at all. And I would start writing not about the dream. So it wasn't like I was in this current world writing about what had happened last night, but I would stay there as if I were in the dream. And I would look around inside the dream space. And I would start writing from there so that I was still really in touch with the feeling state of the dreams. And that when I stayed with the feeling and I stayed in the space, so those, you might want to write those down so that when you can replicate this in the future, is it's important to stay as close to the dream emotion and in that dream state as possible, which is one of the reasons why a lot of writers, I believe, I would have to go interview them, but I keep hearing over and over people like Julia Cameron saying, wake up in the morning and do your morning pages. Morning, when we're still very deeply connected to the metaphoric thinking of our dream state, seems to be the ideal time to get some of our best writing. But I also found that it was really important, so staying close to the emotion and being in that space of the dream, so that I'm in the dream itself and kind of looking around. Those were really important. The other thing was having low expectations, because I find it's kind of like when you meet a person and you know they want something from you, so you don't really trust them, and there's kind of a little bit of a wall there. I found that my dreams were kind of the same way, like they didn't want to be exploited. They kind of stayed a little distant from me if I had expectations from them. So I just started writing with, like, this isn't a poem, this isn't a short story, this isn't an essay. I'm just spending time with you, my lovely dream, to see what you're about, right? And that feels so much better when we meet a person and they just want to know who we are and what we're about, right? And then if we decide we want to continue that relationship, we can. And so I found that that this relationship, which is really a relationship with myself through the subconscious, was very much like the relationships that I have with other people. And so in this process of writing and getting to know my dream self in my dream mind, I really got to know more about a richer relationship with myself, lowering my expectations, and better ways to interact with other people. So as you write more into, instead of about, but into your dreams, I think you're going to be surprised in a lovely way about how much you learn about yourself just in the process of it. And that's before you even start unpacking all that rich, delicious metaphor of the dreams themselves. I think it's important to note, just in case you're like, what is this dream? What am I going to get besides this great relationship with myself in my dream life? If you're on my email list, you got a little email blast that said, hey, like, these are some great things that came out of other people's dream states. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, James Cameron's, first The Terminator came from a dream, and then later on Avatar came from a dream. So the ideas for both of those movies. The structure of the atom appeared to, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the scientist, but the structure of the atom came to him in a dream. Also, the structure of the periodic table was something that occurred to the scientist in the dream. So he was like working furiously on his project, took a little nap, and in the dream during his nap, it like came to him like, oh, the periodic table, look at it, how all these elements come together, right? And so that's what we're doing too, is we're going to look a little bit at how these elements come together. Let's just get started now. I see there's a lot of people here with us, and let's just all kind of enter the space together in a circle, as if we were here all in one space. So kind of like the dream, we're entering that dream space. Let us just now enter this space of the dream writing workshop. And we're going to do that with a centering breath. So we're just going to kind of nestle into wherever we are and get centered. Just drop in a little bit. And we're going to just breathe together. We're going to take 3 breaths. And we're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and pause. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, pause, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, thanks for doing that with me, and thanks for joining the circle. And I lit a candle ahead of time over here and did a little invocation to help create the sacred space. Since we are dealing with kind of cosmic, gooey, psychic goodness in this workshop. So some things that I touched on, if you're just joining us, is that when we dream, we're actually entering another space. So there's two parts, two different I selves. When you're awake, it's one I self. And when you're dreaming, that's a different I self. So when we're in the dream, it feels like it's real. That is our reality. And the person that is in that dream, that is you, is not the same you that you are when you are awake. And so it's important to remember that as you come into this reality, into the world of your daily life, you seem like you're awake as well. And so there's this process of, are we imagining? So there's been a lot of philosophical kind of thought about, are we actually dreaming while we're awake? Like, is this even real? And when we're asleep, is that a separate reality? I'm not going to get so philosophical about that. I just recognize that when I am dreaming, that it is not the same I that is in the waking world. There's definitely similarities between them, and I bring the emotions back, but they're not exactly the same. Which makes it okay, because if I do something terrible in my dream, it's not the I of my waking life, right? Or something terrible happens to the I in my dream. Again, it's not the I of my waking world. And it allows us a little bit more latitude in what we're experiencing there. The other thing to remember is that everyone dreams. So if you're a person like me who dreams vividly, you're already like, got it, right? But there are some people who say, I don't really dream. And that's actually not the case. The case is that you're dreaming, but you don't remember them. So scientists have told us that most people are dreaming 4 dreams at least a night, and that if you're not recalling them, that's all it is. It's just not a matter of recall. So what I would suggest that you do is, if you don't remember them at all, or if you can barely remember them, is as you wake up in the middle of the night, like if you wake out of a dream, keep a little notebook by your bed and just jot down whatever images that you can recall. And you can go back to those in the morning, because often you'll see that just reminding yourself of what you experienced in the dream will start populating your memory with other images. And then the other thing would be, for both of us who dream frequently, and those who, or remember the dreams frequently, and those who have a little difficulty, remembering to allow some time in the morning first thing to get that writing done. So it can be as little as 15 minutes. And I want to read you something that I wrote down, so that you get a kind of an idea of what this sounds like from writing inside the dream. And I'm just reading raw journal page to you right here. So this was a dream that I had back in January, and actually January 1st. No one was certain, but they speculated she'd been eaten by alligators, having spent so much time among them. She was once queen of the forest, of the chaos of bramble and the order of nature. She understood its logic. She knew the alligators, and she did not fear them. She watched them float at the surface, waddle from the black Florida muck, and slide into the dark soups of its rivers. Every river was alligator soup, teeming with decay. So when the young boy went missing near the banks of the Loxahatchee, where she was also last seen, they were certain she'd wrestled alligators and joined the soup that had fed her for so long. So that was a little entry that I had done. And like I said, that was quick. That was not even a 15-minute write. It might have been a 3-minute write. But it got down the image of the dream for me so that I could return to it later. I will also say this, that there are a lot of books on dream interpretation. And in my experience, my personal experience, and you may have had a separate experience, I find a lot of them to be crap. And that's because, well, there are different approaches to interpreting dreams, and some books will say, oh, if you're missing a tooth, that means this. And I have found that I have to associate what's the relationship of the tooth to everything else in the dream. Like the tooth itself cannot be taken out of context. And I also have to like go back into the feeling state and say, oh, how did I feel when I lost a tooth? Was like that, did the tooth become, you know, an egg, and then the egg cracked and it became the goose that laid the golden egg? Because if that's the case, that's an entirely different experience than losing a tooth and then having all of the rest of my teeth fall out, right? And then like this general sense of decay and powerlessness. So I don't recommend going to dream books. I find that I am the best interpreter of my own dreams, and that that you're probably the best interpreter of your dreams. Although certainly discussing them with someone who's a good interpreter is helpful. So right now, go ahead and pick up your pen, and I want you just to do a quick write. So when I say quick, I mean like maybe 20 seconds on each one. The most recent dream I remember is. So go ahead and write that down. Just fill in the rest of that sentence. The most recent dream I remember is. And then the next one is, a dream that I will never forget is. Just quickly jot down something that you remember, a dream that you will never forget. So I'm talking about sleeping dreams, not waking dreams, which are a little different. Okay, great. If you'd like to share one of those in the chat box, just so we know what we're dealing with in this next section, that would be great. If you're still writing, keep going. Don't stop on my account. Remember, everything I say is just a suggestion. And if you're really on a great roll, I suggest you just tune me out and keep writing. You can always come back to the replay later. The first question was, the most recent dream I remember is. And the second one is, a dream I will never forget is. As you're writing those down, oh, JJ asked, when did I get my AS 220 poster? Oh, I got that back in the early, maybe like 2001, when I was in Providence, Rhode Island. I spent some time up there and I did poetry slams. I was a poetry slam master in South Florida for about 5 years, and so I traveled around a lot and knew the people in Providence and loved that poster and had to have one. So they were lucky, or I was lucky enough that they were generous to share it with me. Let's see, Crystal from Kansas City. Welcome, Crystal. She's got an active dream life, colorful and insightful. Gwen in Fort Worth, Texas. She says she doesn't do much dreaming these days and she misses dreaming. Gwen, I suspect that the more you pay attention, the more your dreams will come around. It's kind of like feeding a cat, right? So if there's a cat outside and you leave it some food, it's going to come back, and you just have to train it to come to you. So JJ is in New England. So his or her, I'm not sure if JJ is a man or a woman, but you can be one or the other or both. And I'm great with all of that, but I wanted to call you by the right pronoun. So New England color and texture in those dreams. Kathy's dreams, healthy, wealthy, and wise ass. That's awesome. I know the dream life can be quite the wiseacre, right? It has a peculiar sense of humor. Okay, so what are those dreams? Go ahead and type in the chat box. What were those dreams like? which one the most recent dream I will remember is, or a dream that I will never forget. And as you're doing that, I'm going to share one more quick entry. I'm trying to decide which one to share with you. And again, it's just a raw write. It's not, this is not finished writing in any sense of the imagination. I just wake up and I go into the dream state, kind of stay in that space of the dream and write from there. So this one again is short. Everyone was in costume, but I could still recognize them. Everything felt like a death trap. The ocean washed in to the height of our windows, against our windows. I expected the glass to break against the pressure. Some things aren't meant to be seen like this. But you planned to at least keep those you were responsible for afloat. You always took the lead, finding flotation for everyone you meet. You think your job is to save everyone. Take every loss personally. You think you can swim without help? Probably. You consider giving away your life jacket. Consider yourself a coward for reconsidering. Consider yourself selfish. And all things considered, this may be time for some selfishness, you conjecture, and keep your life vest on. You've learned to be a hero from your own heart. The story unravels. You see everyone for who they are. You see you believed they were powerful and you were powerless, which was weird because everyone looked to you to save them. Okay, so those were just some examples of what it was like to write into, rather than about the dream. So do you understand what I'm saying? So you're not writing from the outside. Like last night I dreamed that I was at a masquerade ball and everyone was wearing a mask, and then there were ocean waves and they were hitting the glass, and I had a life vest, but I considered giving it to other people. And then I was like, maybe I should keep it on, and I did. And then I realized I felt like a coward. Do you see how that telling about the dream is different than being in the dream? Hopefully you do. Okay. So let's see what you guys have. Gwen, remember the one everyone has of showing up to class and realizing I had not attended any classes and it was test time. Okay, so that probably wasn't a recent one, but one that you will never forget, I'm guessing, Gwen. And Julia says she had to eat paper to save her own life, and a dream about a witch that was my mother. Okay. Wow. My mother passed away in November, Crystal says. I have dreams about her not having passed. I feel like resurrection dreams. She died and is now no longer dead. I know she is no longer in this world, but she is still here. Yeah. And that's kind of like our dream life, right? Like we wake into this other world where we're in this separate space of this reality, but our dream world, we still take it with us. And it kind of follows us. And I kind of think of it, pardon this, but I kind of think of it like a fart, when people, how it trails behind them and it starts to dissipate the further they get from the point of farting. I know I'm never appropriate with these things, but that's what I think of it as. The further we get away from it, the less potent it is. And when we do dream writing, we want to still be in that cloud of our dream. I know when I call it a fart, it's not so great, but think of it as, the dream cloud rather than the fart cloud. And it's a whole different thing, right? Okay. So what I want to do right now is to do a quick guided medication. It's kind of like medication because you'll feel a little different afterwards. Meditation, a little guided meditation. So keep your pen and your paper right beside you, but take a moment to just drop in here and relax. And I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Really go into the space of your inner world. That's where we're headed. It's into the inner space. Take a few deep breaths. And feel yourself relax into the space of where you are. Feel your feet connected to the ground. Feel gravity take them. Surrender to gravity, feeling your legs heavy and yet weightless, connected to the earth. Ankles and calves and knees relax because they are connected, supported, both heavy and weightless at the same time. Thighs and sit bones, hips, supported and relaxed. The bowl of the pelvis and the internal organs are supported and relax a little more. The back is supported by the back of your chair or cushion. Lean into it, feel supported by the hips and pelvis, by the spine resting against the back of your chair. Upper back is supported and relaxed. Shoulders and arms, hands, relax. Throat and jaw, tongue, lips, relax. Muscles of the face and the eyes, relax. The scalp, the ears, even the inner ears, all of that can relax. Any sounds that you might be experiencing, just let them dance with whatever comes as I guide you in this meditation. So just let it all become part of the experience. You're going to go back into one of those dreams that you just identified and start to recognize the objects that you can remember in the space of that dream. So right now, as if you were on the holodeck of the Star Trek Enterprise, or in some kind of giant warehouse where it was a hologram, and you started to populate it with the images of your dreams. Just know that this is space, and reach for one with your mind and bring that into your space, something you remember. And it becomes more vivid, and you can see more details of the object. And then another object might come in as a result of that first one. And slowly, without grasping or reaching, just relaxing and allowing what you can remember about the space of that dream. What you're experiencing, what is there with you in the space. What is happening in the space of your dream. Maybe there's someone there with you. Who's there? And what's happening? Not grasping for anything, not having to chase anything in the dream, just staying where you are and letting these things come to you. If only bits and snippets are coming to you, if it's just a fleeting image, that's fine. Just stay with it and watch what arises. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Any textures or colors that occur to you or that you can see. Pay attention to as many senses as you can in these experiences. What do you hear? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Stay in this dream space, but gently open your eyes and pick up your pen. Stay in the dream space and start to write. We're going to have about 5 minutes for this. So give yourself time to move slowly in this dream space, staying connected, and in between the world of being awake with a pen in your hand and aware in your dream world. So 5 minutes, we're going to write together. I might make some suggestions as you write. If they're helpful, use them. If they're not, ignore me. I'm going to write with you. Okay, as you write, remember to stay with the feelings as they come up. So if something's coming up for you, go ahead and stay with that and keep writing into it. If something reminds you of something or seems funny, go ahead and reflect on that. So if there's something peculiar, reflect on that from the dream state. What might that mean? What else is like that? So that's your place where you're finding a metaphor. Okay, and like I said, if you're on a roll, just keep on rolling. I'm going to start giving a little bit more information, but you can always watch it in replay. So if you're on a roll, I would say keep on rolling with that. But one of the things, so when you do dream writing, what I like to do after I get the dream down and I get to know the dream a little bit better is I start associating the images. So I start deepening them. And so, for instance, with the one about alligators, remember that I just read to you, I started to look at, well, getting eaten by alligators is kind of a strange thing to dream about. And I was like, what else do I associate with these alligators? And I was like, oh yeah, that saying like up to your ass in alligators. I was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, so when else was this person, you know, either eaten by alligators or up to her ass in alligators? And I started to write into that a little bit more, deepening the images and associating, which helped me create meaning. And what I realized is when I started working with this more and creating a little bit more finished piece of writing, or at least moving in that direction, the alligators reminded me of when this person, we'll call her B, when B was a teacher and she was overwhelmed with the demands of the administration and the, really high maintenance parents, and was feeling eaten alive basically by the educational system. And so I included that in my writing because that was an association I had. And then, I started looking at some of her current life and, the way she is moving in her her life presently. And it did seem like she was kind of getting eaten up by some of the choices that she made. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it helped me to experience a little deeper understanding of the person and have a little more compassion for what she's going through. So this is a person who, I've known most of my life and who I love a lot, even though I have a kind of a strained and difficult relationship with her. But when I started working into the dream, it wasn't just like I woke up and was like, oh, that was a weird thing. I had this crazy dream that she, got eaten by alligators. I started to understand that my subconscious was reminding me that of a few things, like when we spend time with dangerous things like alligators and we learn not to fear them anymore, it's a good chance we may get eaten by them, right? It also taught me things like, that there have been many times in her life where she's been faced by this and actually survived the alligators, right? So, yeah, and then there's this idea of being nourished by the soup of the alligators. Like there was something about the alligator soup that was nourishing of her life. So I started to realize, oh, even though this feels dangerous, to me, there's something that's nourishing about it to her. So that's one example of making those associations. What else do the alligators remind you of? So I like to go through and kind of just either underline or put a star next to those things that seem a little odd, like eaten by alligators, that's kind of weird. So that I can go, oh, what else is that like? In the piece that I read you, the second piece, you'll see that I started to recognize, even like in the dream itself, while I was in the dream space at night, I didn't have all those realizations that like it was really like, I have to put my life vest on. Okay, but oh my gosh, that person doesn't have a life vest. Maybe I should help them. Oh, I'm really being so selfish by not helping them, but I feel like I should keep mine on, right? And then I kind of wrote further into that reflection and helped learn a little bit more about myself in the process. Like, oh girl, you're always giving your life vest away. Like, here, I don't need my lunch. You can have it. You look so hungry. Hey, I know that I do this for a living, but this writing stuff for a living, but you can take it for free because I know that you really need some inspiration and some, a little zhuzh on the side to get your writing going again. And oh yeah, I'm happy to look at your manuscript for free because this is old behavior, right? And so I've learned from my dreams that it's not okay to give my own life vest away. It's not okay. It's not right. And so I learn a little bit better self-care. It's like, oh, keep your lunch, stop giving away your professional work for free, those kinds of things, right? I'm really curious if you got anything good, juicy, and delicious out of that writing that you just did. And if you did, please report back in the chat. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what's going on for you. Yeah, take a moment and just type there in the chat. Let me know if you got anything good out of that or something that you recognized as you went. And then we're gonna just get those things there. And go ahead and type them in. All right. So as you are, after you get those typed in, we're going to go back to our notebooks. Open notebooks, pen in hand, settle back into your chair. Close your eyes, deep breath. One more deep breath. See if you can stay in that kind of dream feeling. One more deep breath. And as you exhale on your breath, just let your body relax some more. And now I want you to imagine yourself with your dream writing life. And in your dream writing life, first I want you to connect with how you're feeling. How does a dream writing life feel to you? Maybe put your hand on your heart if that helps. just ask yourself, wow, if I had my dream writing life, how would that feel to me? Is it relaxing? Is it exciting? Joyful? What is it that you are feeling in a dream writing life? One that's exactly the way that you knew it could be, or that you've always dreamed it could be. And once you connect with those feelings, breathe into those feelings and see if in your mind's eye you can identify what you're doing in your dream writing life. What space are you in? Maybe you're in a bookstore at an open mic, or maybe you're in your writing room. Maybe it's your own room just for writing and creating. What's around you? What's that look like? Or maybe you're in a workshop with other people, or at a table on a team of writers. What's your dream writing work look like? Are you reading it or performing it? Are you publishing it? Are you typing it up on a typewriter, writing it longhand? Are you publishing it online? Are you holding it in your hand as books? Do you have a shelf full of books? Are you at a book signing? What's this look like? Just keep imagining what your dream life looks like. Who is there with you? What are they saying to you? What has been removed? What have you overcome to get here? What resistance has softened enough to get you to this place? And staying in this dream space, open your eyes. And we're just going to take 2 quick minutes to write that stuff down. So go ahead and write down whatever it was that you noticed, whatever it is you saw. I'm going to write with you. And if you would go ahead and share in the chat box, what is it that you need to soften or overcome? What is it that you need in order to have this dream writing life? That's what I want to know from you. Or what question do you have to have answered so that you can have the writing life of your dreams? So go ahead and share that with me in the chat room. Oh, that's beautiful. Kathleen says that I've overcome the need to get up and do something that I forgot to do earlier. I can stay with this exercise and get back to the other things later. That's wonderful. And it's really in keeping with what we're doing in this workshop, which is acknowledging that we're in a different space, right? When we're dreaming, it's actually a different space than the space that we are now. And we can choose to go back into that space, right? And so that these spaces, we can stay in them, we can choose to leave them, and knowing that, right, that if there's something that, oh, I forgot to do this, you're like, wait, that's in that other reality right now, and this is the reality I'm choosing to be in. So that's wonderful. Chris says, the sign on the corner of my desk keeps saying, when a person gives up a dream and settles for the reality of today, it marks their last creative act. Wow. That's really beautiful. I like that, Chris. Thank you for sharing it. So what else is it? I know for myself that I have identified the times when I'm the most productive, when I feel the best, and they aren't always the same, but frequently those things go hand in hand. And, you know, since I would say, so some of you know me from back when I used to live in Florida, and I was hosting poetry slams, and I was a columnist in the newspaper, and I helped launch the Palm Beach Poetry Festival, and I was really quite active in this in the poetry and creative scene there in South Florida. And then I moved to California and really took a step away from what I had been doing in Florida, because what I was doing was feeling very will-driven and ego-driven, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled by any of it. There was a lot of, I felt very much like I was powering my way through my life from here, and from like an aggression that like I must get things done, that had exhausted me. And basically I was hitting bottom. I was realizing I was producing a lot of stuff, but none of it was really satisfying for me. I was never satisfied with what I had done. I was always like, what's next? And that wasn't good enough. Like that was just a stepping stone for this other thing. And I had a real shift when I moved to California that has created a deeper, more fulfilling creative life, and it has in turn nurtured a deeper and deeper and more creative life, so that I'm actually creating life mindfully in a way that is satisfying and is still connected to my writing. So I would say like the first half of my life was really learning to write. And the second half has really been more about writing to live, and how that informs, like how it creates this circle, so that I'm using like, oh, I'm in writing to live, I'm going, you know, I only feel satisfied with who I am and what I'm doing when I am writing. And part of what I started to recognize about myself was that I needed a community. I needed to be inspired by other people. I needed to be inspired by other ideas. Like I couldn't just be this like closed circuit of creativity. It couldn't all be coming from me. And I started to notice things like muscling my way into creativity and intuition wasn't working for me, that it was exhausting me, and that I wasn't getting a lot of deep work. So I might have been getting a lot of stuff finished and completed and published, but it was lacking a profundity and a more like deeper meaning, where it felt like really meaningful to me. And so I started creating workshops through Holy Creative that do that, and tried to help share with other people some of the stuff that I've learned, so that I keep writing. so that writing feels effortless, but it's not a chore and it's not a should do. Like, it's not something that I feel like obsessive compulsive about, but that just is naturally in keeping with the flow of my life. Deborah says, I am writing copy as a producer of live events, and it reaches people in a moving way, leading to full concerts. For this, I need humility and humor. Okay. And Deborah, are you finding that you already have the humility and the humor that you need to accomplish this? Because if you do, then good on you, sister. Like, that, you might already have what you need to accomplish that. If not, if you feel like, hey, there's something else I need, what is that, right? What is it to get you there? Julia says, I overcome my self-doubt, fear, and inner instability to be able to have my dream writing life. Hey, I wonder if other people can identify with that. Doubt, self-doubt, right? Fear, and inner instability. Right, so this inner instability is unstable means out of balance, right? And so I want to share this with you because I would not be being a good girl, and my creative entrepreneur coach would be very disappointed with me if I did not do my job, which is to let you know about the other things I have going on. So this is not a hard sell at all, but the workshop that I have coming up that helps look at, hey, I have fear, and I have self-doubt, I don't feel stable, I have like this inner instability. This kind of stuff can be addressed through this workshop, which is, I'm calling Mojo a Go-Go. So the mojo is like, you know, when you lose your mojo and you don't feel like you're coming from a place of power, and the dynamic, like when you know you're just like aligned with yourself, and a go-go is like a dance, right? So it's like this dance of your own magic to help you write. You will get new writing, better habits, and deeper creativity. My offer for you today, if you sign up through the, while we're on this webinar, or through that webinar link, is that you're gonna save more than 20% off of the normal price, but I will also let you bring a friend for free. So if you click on that offer, you will see that this is like the deal of a lifetime. My creativity, I have a coach who helps me coach me as a creative entrepreneur, and she's teaching me how to be a businesswoman because I've been a school teacher my whole life, and basically I'm just like, I know all this stuff, have it for free because it's so helpful for you, and I want to put my life jacket on you, right? So if you go ahead and click that link, save your seat, it'll tell you more about the offer. But basically, this Mojo a Go-Go Writers Workshop it's all about how to get a whole new groove as a writer, and it looks at writing as energies, so that you're going to see that like just do it does not work when it comes to your writing life. Like, you may, like I did, just show up to the page and keep on putting stuff down on the page, and you may keep on publishing like I did, but eventually I burned out. And I didn't know what the problem was. Like, I just couldn't identify it. I was like, what's the problem? Like, I've gotten 2 master's degrees, you know, one in English and one in creative writing, and I teach writing for a living. Like, why am I not having this integrated, juicy awesomeness that I want? And I was really, really burnt out. So to get new writing, better habits, deeper creativity, and a whole new groove, I look at, in this workshop, it's 9 weeks, I look at writing as a dance of energies, so that we see that there's mental energy, intuitive energy, emotional energy, and physical energy. Like, writing takes physical energy. If you're exhausted and full of fear, like, showing up at the page is going to be really hard. So I look at how these energies work together, and And when I say energies, it's not like woo-woo. Like we really look at like, what do you do when you have low physical energy? And some people are like, well, take a nap. Seems obvious. But lots of times that self-doubt continues a cycle of exhaustion, right? Obsessive compulsion will crash you out and exhaust you. So it's looking at how can intuition actually take some pressure off of your physical energy, right? And so how these energies work together. Because we don't want to end up being creative wallflowers. We don't want to just sit back and watch other people be creative. We want to take part in the dance and this, have our mojo doing a go-go, right? So that is there for you. I'm also super interested in, oh, Chris, he's in, great. And remember, if you're in, see, this is the beautiful thing. You're helping me help you here, is if you sign up today, you got a couple different options. You can pay as you go, and it's 3 payments of $87. Or you can, if you get in early, it's 1 payment of $196. And if you bring a friend, that means you can say to your friend, hey, I paid this $196, which if you do the math is like unbelievably cheap for one person. But once you add 2 people, you're like, that is so cheap. How can I say no? So you could actually find a friend and say, hey, I signed up, split the cost with me. Or you could sign up yourself for $196 and then offer a beautiful scholarship to someone who can't afford it. So you're like, hey, as my gift to you, happy birthday. Here's this writing workshop. So however you want to work that, if you sign up, I will, you just write to me at holycreative@gmail and tell me who your person is. Give me their email address and I will sign them up and send them the link so that they can join us. We start on the last Thursday in March, and we'll start with a conference call where you will also have slides in front of you. So there'll be some information there. We'll also have a little opening circle, get to know each other, so that as we move through the 9 weeks, we'll have a sense of each other's voice in a very real way, and that we'll be able to have that personal connection. There will be 4 webinars, and I'm looking at the energies through the lenses of the elements of air, wind, fire, and water as a lens to kind of examine these energies. And so there'll be 4 webinars on those, and there'll be lots and lots of writing prompts that you can use that will actually help cultivate these places where, so, you know, if you're like me and you are very driven, you might have a lot of fire energy in that drive, and also very imaginative and very, like, that's an air kind of thing, but maybe you're lacking structure, which is an earth. Like maybe you're lacking community, also earth. Maybe you're lacking flow, like, hey, how do I just be in flow and go with the flow? Water, right? So we'll look at how to balance those, so that if you're very fire, maybe you need some more water, or like, right, to balance out those energies so that your writing life feels good, because when things feel good, we are so likely to do them. And if they feel crappy, we resist them. That's just how it is, right? Survival. So was there anything that you recognized in this workshop? I'm interested, so interested to know what you got out of it, what you realized about your own dreams or your process of writing the dreams down. And as you go ahead and do that, go ahead and just jot something down. Share with the group something juicy, awesome, and good you got out of this. Or what maybe questions you still have. If there's a question I can answer for you. I'm gonna read you one more quick dream piece, little dream piece. See if that stirs anything up for you, because I don't have the chat box to type in like you do. But again, super raw writing. It was another era where communists wore pink, and I didn't know exactly where or when I was. The Thai restaurant was playing a song about butterflies, and so the women, the white women, the customers, were swooping around the place with their arms extended like wings. I'd always loved the chance for freedom, and so I spread my arms and danced this butterfly dance too, without ever ordering a thing or taking up a table. A regular recognized me, called me by name, asked me about my visit, or my visa, I'm not sure, in an accent that made him some colonized British land, maybe New Zealand. I've always been bad at accents, not mimicking them, which I can't help. They are as contagious as dancing, inevitable as freedom. He called me international, and by that I think he meant I got around, which wasn't really true anymore. His questions made me doubt my own story, but I was pretty sure where I belonged. I was no longer flying, but I was free to go. And so again, that's my raw writing, and then I'll take it through the process. I'll go back through, I will underline anything that seemed kind of quirky or peculiar, and start creating analogies and recognizing places. What else does that remind me of? For instance, I called the man, I didn't say he was, he had an accent that made him some colonized British land. Like my writing said, he was some colonized British land. That seems peculiar to me, like a person is a country. No man is an island, but a man can be a country. So I might start working, because that seemed kind of odd to me. So I might underline it and start working into, what else does that remind me of? What else does that remind me of? Because as you start mining these things, and when I say mining, like you're digging, like you're going for the gold, you start to realize more about what that metaphor means. Like, what does that mean in your dream? But you're also starting to create an echoing of images and of metaphors that you can start to put together in a poem, or you can start, once you recognize them, develop into an essay. Or perhaps the character, like that guy from New Zealand who called me international as his way of saying I get around, like I could turn him into a character in one of my fiction stories, right? But I need to kind of mine what else is there in that. And I love this particular one because I love the fact that like all these crazy white women are like, you know, I see the Asian women in the dream, like waiting tables and like doing their work at the Thai restaurant. But all these like crazy white women are like, they've got their arms out and they're swooping around to this butterfly song, which just is crazy, but might be the genesis of something. And it might not. It might just be something that I do to honor the time that I spent in that other world. Kathleen says, write every day at the same time. Early in the day is best. It's been 8 years since I really wrote consistently. I think your workshop will put me on the writing road again. Yes, Kathleen, it totally will put you on the writing road again. And you'll see prompts kind of like the one in this workshop. This is a very, actually third eye, kind of, we're up in the upper chakras here, upper in the air element with the dreams. And if this comes naturally to you, then it's probably that you need more structure, right? That you need to show up every day. And if you aren't having a lot of this, maybe you come check out the workshop and see, what other good juicy prompts does Marya have for me that will help me get my writing life, get my groove back, right? I hope that this has been helpful for you today. I know that I sure have enjoyed the heck out of it. And if you have questions and you type them in the chat box or send them to me as an email, I will email you back because that's the kind of girl I am. All right, well, that concludes for the day. If you will just type one last thing in that chat box, 3 words to describe the workshop for you today, how it was, how you felt, just 3 words as a checkout. My 3 words are going to be connected, inspired, and green. I don't know why I just thought of green, but I thought of green. Maybe it's my pen. So those are my 3 words. And type your 3 words, hit send, and then we're just gonna exit this thing with our wrap up of a concluding breath, kind of close the circle out. We're gonna inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you everyone for doing that with me. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Mwah.